Hello everybody and welcome to today's webinar. Alex Botman will give us a training to one of our latest additions to the Empulse range, the F35. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to ask them through the question tool, which is on the right side of your screen. We're gonna answer them now and then, and we're gonna also unmute everyone for further questions or comments at the end of the webinar. So thank you very much. With that, I will hand it over to Alex.
Thank you, Darlene. Yes, my name is Alex. I'm very happy to present to you today the launch presentation for the Empulse F35. As Darlene mentioned, feel free to raise your hand and ask questions throughout the presentation, but I'll also allow or give some time for questions at the end as well. With that being said, I'll continue on. So the F35, Sunrise Medical's lightest and most compact pull device designed for urban traveling. First, let me switch the slide, there we go. First, I would like to give just an overall brief reminder or highlight of the overall Empulse range from Sunrise Medical. So we have it here divided from the left to the right into categories of pull devices, power add-ons, wheel add-ons, push assist devices, and caregiver assists. As you can see here, there are 3 new additions planned to the Empulse range. The R90 that will fill our push assist category, which we do not have a current product for. Then we have the M90, which will fall under the power add-on, so joystick controlled device, and at a later date it will actually have hand rim functionality, so it will also fall into the wheel add-on subcategory, similar to the wheel drive there that we have currently. These launches will be coming at a later date, and what we're focusing on here today is the 3rd edition, which is the F35. That comes into our pull device hierarchy. So we have that also separated into further subcategories. So pull devices, which incorporate a throttle, as well as add-on bikes, which are user-driven with a crank arm. Here we have currently the Street Jet and 2 wheel versions, the 12 and the 16-inch. We have the Attitude Power. We have the F55 also in 2 wheel sizes, the 8.5-inch and the 14-inch. And now we have Sunrise Medical's lightest, smallest, most compact, and arguably versatile device, which is the F35, coming in with a 6.5-inch wheel. So how does this look in practice on a slide here? We have on the y-axis the ASP, and we have on the x-axis the overall performance orientation or intended usage of the device. As we see here, a lot of this is determined predominantly by wheel size. So as you're going to more off-road orientated performance, generally these devices will have larger wheel sizes. That's not the only factor though. Generally, they'll also have larger batteries, a bulkier footprint, and increased weight. With that being said, here's how the F35 6.5-inch fits. So it's really our first device that is targeted at this urban usage. And when we say urban, this is kind of like a hybrid between a very indoor capable device, but also has the power to go outside on the city streets, cobblestones. So it's a very versatile indoor-outdoor device designed for the low, medium distances up to 15 kilometers per hour. What we see here, again, despite the smallest wheel size, we also have the smallest weight in our pull device range, the smallest overall footprint, and the smallest overall cost. So it's also coming in at a lower ASP when compared to the F55. One thing to note here, the 8.5-inch specific F55, this is grayed out here because it is planned to be discontinued at a later date. One further note, because it's based off some feedback from the market, is that included in the appendix, there's also a more detailed comparison of our internal pull assist portfolio that highlights the unique features and when to choose which device suggestions. So just for your information, that is in the appendix. I won't go into it in too much detail, but I'll highlight it at the end of the presentation. Now we move to the competitor landscape of pull devices. as we see here, again, the overall majority of the devices are really at this far end, or the off-road orientated device, with the bigger wheel sizes, bigger batteries, and bulkier designs. Currently, our market estimates are this is approximately 65% of the pull device market, with 35% being the more urban, indoor, outdoor, more minimal, modular, small designs with the smaller wheel sizes. However, when we see and look at the F35, really the main two competitors are the Una wheel and the Miho MT06. Those are the only other two devices using this clean integrated tube aesthetic. We can see there is some similarity in the overall design aspect of those devices, and they all share a wheel size of 6.5 inches. With that being said, the Una wheels and the Miho MT06s are far more orientated specifically at indoor usage. Whereas the F35, I wouldn't pigeonhole it. It's very suitable for indoor usage, but again, wouldn't pigeonhole it in that sense, as it does pack a punch, and we can think of it kind of like as almost like a sporty Mini Cooper that can race in and out of the city. The next slide, I just want to focus like overall on the pull device market specifically versus other power assist categories, because when we look at our own portfolio, but also at the competitor's portfolio, there's just the diversity of pull devices on the market is far more than that of wheel add-ons or push assist devices. There's every competitor, and again, our internal portfolio, we have varying wheel sizes, battery ranges, and classifications of pull devices, but it's not really the same in those other power assist categories. And so why is that? The main reasoning behind that is that the pull assist devices are very intuitive to drive. So we think they have basically a standard bicycle handle with a throttle, a brake, usually a mechanical disc brake as well, or drum brake. And so these are very accessible and intuitive to drive, especially when compared to the other devices, which generally are using a control box or a joystick control. The next aspect is these pull devices can hit a very diverse target group. So younger users, also some decreased hand functionality, even some decreased cognitive functionality when comparing to the control box used device, for example. The other aspect is overall range and maximum speed. So these pull devices generally also allow a far maximal range in comparison to the other categories. And especially with like the bigger battery options, you can get up to 50 kilometers or more range even. And the last aspect is really, it goes hand in hand with the intuitive to drive, but it's the overall aesthetic and style of these devices. They don't highlight disability or wheelchair usage. They're really like very comparable to a bike or a scooter and just look cool in general. However, there are some reasons why users would not choose a pull device. Why is that? Well, they're bulkier, they're heavy and difficult to store often, and attachment to a wheelchair can be a real pain, especially with docking mechanisms as well as overall combination compatibility, and they're hard to transport. So with those aspects in mind, or those pain points and why nots in mind with a pull device, that's what we really focused on with the F35 design scope. And the idea behind that was to develop a new product that combines the benefits of a power assist bike, so the whys, if I go back quickly, but highlights those why nots with ultra lightweight design, super compact and easy to transport, as well as high-end performance. So again, think not pigeonholed to indoor usage, but also very capable of outdoor usage. And what this allows is riders to use it independently in all everyday environments. So the project summary and how or what we achieved then with the F35 with that design scope in mind, we have now an F35 device, which is an ultra lightweight, compact, versatile, super easy to dock, and super easy to transport pull device for manual wheelchairs. The big USP of the F35 is that it's the lightest, most powerful, and stable medical pull device, which is also utilizing very innovative, highly efficient 21700 battery cell technology. What does that mean in practice? The user benefit for that is that with those larger cells, so the vast majority of competitors are using 18650 battery cells, which are slightly smaller. With those bigger cells, we can fit more of them, or more power, so to say, in a smaller battery holder or battery housing. In practice, this means more power, more range in a compact and lightweight design. Some other key KSFs of the F35 are the very small turning radius, so 180-degree turning radius, a very lightweight design, 7.5 kilogram transport weight, and we have foldable handles, just highlighting the transportability of this device. What's also a feature of the F35 is a one-hand quick docking operation, which make the F35 a perfect modern companion for the inner city, urban, and traveling usage. And the last aspect here that I want to highlight is fantastic compatibility by using the already proven clamps of the F55. So we have the same docking clamps on the wheelchair, but that is combined with the unique quick docking mechanism here on the subframe, which really allows a large user group to attach it on nearly all Sunrise and competitive rigid, folding, fixed front, and swing away wheelchairs. So a very high versatility there for the F35. And with all that being said, and we already had this in mind with the design scope, who is the target customer for the F35? As mentioned, it's an urban pull device. What does urban mean? It's indoors, but also outdoors. So think side streets in the city. So very versatile and all around usage. And that, with its very small and lightweight, simple and quick docking design, it means that turning in narrow curves, in tight spaces, in shopping areas, or at the coffee shop, none of that poses a challenge to the F35. So the F35 user, they would live in an urban environment with shopping areas, cafes, train stations, elevators, and they're a user that wants power support for those low to medium distances up to 15 kilometers without getting exhausted through the day. So think about commuting to the office, going shopping, going to the coffee shop, meeting friends, as we see here in the right and on the upper image. The other aspect of who the user would be is generally an active user. So some hand function is needed for the controlling the display, the disc brakes, or the drum brakes, sorry, and the e-brake, and also a user that is cognitively aware, that can handle driving at faster speeds, because the F35, while it is available in a 6 kilometer per hour option, it also can go up to 15 kilometers per hour. So this is a user that will sometimes travel by car, train, aircraft for holidays or business trips. So with all that in mind, how did we address the features, the USP, the KSFs of the F35 to address that target user? Well, if I start at the top here, and just by looking at the F35, we see the one thing that stands out right away is the compact design. So we have an integrated and slim all-in-one tube design. We have the mechanical brake housing that's just sticking out here, but it is then going up housed in the tube itself, coming out just at the top, as with the electrical cables. As well as this, we have the foldable handles, which can fold parallel to the tube itself, allowing a very transportable, compact design. So easy to transfer in and out of cars, for example. The next aspect, when you pick up one of these things, it's extraordinarily light, so just a 7.5 kilogram transport weight. The total weight with the actual subframe included, so this aspect here with the tubing, is 9 kilograms. In practice, almost no one will be lifting or transporting that in one package. They will generally transport the transport weight and then the subframe separately itself. So we can think of it as 7.5 kilograms and then 1.5 kilograms. The next aspect, as mentioned with the 21700 cells, is more of an invisible feature, so it's not directly apparent. But as mentioned, what that gives you is a very energy-dense battery, more so than the competitors. So that means that in such a small, minimal battery design, we're providing more power, more range to the end user. As well as this, we also have a USB charging port integrated into the tube, so charging phones, not a problem. And the device itself is fully IATA certified for air travel. The next point I want to highlight is the driving performance. So the F35 is very powerful in this class of the 6.5-inch wheel size. So it can climb a 6-degree slope with a max user weight of 110 kilograms. For example, I and others heavier than me were also able to go up a 10-degree slope, which is pretty steep, in reverse with no problems with the F35. So again, I want to emphasize, don't be pigeonholing this device as an indoor-only device. It's a very capable device outdoors as well. There are 3 different drive modes. So we have a slow, standard, or fast. When we can think about this as they're controlling the acceleration, slow is like the indoor mode. So you can really accelerate the device in a controlled manner. And then standard and fast are more for your outdoor usage. We have an active cruise control feature on the F35, and we have a very safe dual brake system. So there's a proportional electronical brake, and then there's a mechanical drum brake. With the mechanical drum brake, there's also a parking brake, very intuitive and easy to use on the actual lever itself. I'll highlight this again in the cockpit section, but you can see here, it's just this button that you press in. The next aspect is the quick release docking. So this allows very easy one movement docking for quick stops throughout the city. There is an overall, so when you're docking the device itself fully, there's a few more steps involved, but it also takes a matter of 1 minute, even less, whereas the easy one movement docking for quick stops takes a matter of seconds to dock and de-dock the device. And the final KSF and key highlight I would like to summarize is the stable design. So despite this very lightweight, minimal, compact product, we have a very stable and rigid design, which really encourages users to feel safe when driving it. This is achieved by 3-dimensional stability between the subframe, so this aspect here, as well as the 2 docking clamps on the wheelchair itself. The next aspect I would like to highlight is the overall lightweight and transportable nature of the F35. Here we can see a comparison of the F35 with active manual wheelchairs. So with the F35's transport weight of 7.5 kilograms, it's very comparable and on average lighter than the vast majority of active manual wheelchairs. So we have here the Quickie QS5X, Argon, and Nitrum. In their base weights, they are slightly lighter than the F35, but on average, for example, the QS5X and the Argon are actually going to end up weighing more than the F35. And even with the Nitrum 6.5 kilogram average weight, this is a super lightweight active manual wheelchair. So if any users are doing independent transfers in any of these types of active manual wheelchairs, they can absolutely and for sure be comfortable doing it with the F35. The next aspect is versus other power assist bikes. So here we see even more of a difference. So 7.5 kilograms again, very small footprint. And in comparison with even one of our lighter weight power assist devices, there's a big difference in the overall one-handed and transportable nature of this device, especially when moving up to the more bulkier off-road designs. So the next point I'm highlighting is the overall docking. So we have here the full docking as mentioned. So it's quite similar if you're familiar with the F55, but we have the docking clamps installed on the wheelchair. You would line up the subframe to the clamps and insert all the way up to the padding here. Next step would be securing the clips, if chosen on the order form, on both sides, and then tightening those screws to hand tight. The next step is the very unique feature of the F35, which is just lining up, and I think you can see it better on this picture here, but lining up the pins here into the subframe. And then all you need to do is just gently push the handlebar forwards and upwards, and the locking mechanism automatically clicks into place. Once that subframe is installed, so think like this, then you can just de-dock and dock again the F35 within seconds. To de-dock, there's a latch here on the tube, so you pull that up and just release it gently backwards and downwards outside of the subframe itself. So now I will highlight the cockpit. So again, going back to the overall minimalistic, clean, aesthetic design of the tube, this is also complemented by the cockpit. So we'll start at the left here. We have the brake lever for mechanical drum brake. This is the parking brake function. So as mentioned, with the brake activated, just push the button down and it automatically locks. We have a proportional e-brake lever right here. Integrated into that component is the cruise control button. So when driving, you can hit that button and the F35 will maintain the speed which you were driving at, and then it is automatically deactivated by any braking. The next is the display. So we have an integrated display into the tube here. I will go through the display in the next slide. These are the release levers for the folding handles. So just push those in and the lever the actual end of the handlebar will swing way down into the parallel position. To the only thing you need to do to get it back up to a perpendicular or the regular driving position is just have a little bit of force and allows you to just pop it back open. Then we have also a very minimalistic bell as standard and a throttle lever for driving, which is in the same design as the e-brake lever. So moving on to the display, where I will highlight the features of the display. We've still made the display overall a minimalistic, very intuitive, easy to read, easy to use display. So we have here in the middle, overall speed in kilometers per hour. This can also be changed in the menu to miles per hour. We have at the bottom left, battery charging level in percentage. We have in the middle here, the acceleration mode you're in. So that's changed by the right button here. You can change the acceleration mode, as mentioned, from slow for indoor, for example, then to standard or to fast. Moving on to the top right, as this is something that's also quite unique of the display, which isn't seen in many other competitor or internal pull device displays, is the estimated remaining charge. It should be range actually, like, so you can see here 14.2 kilometers. With your current battery level in your current drive mode, you have an estimated range of 14.2 kilometers. So a very, very helpful feature and assistive feature for the end user. Here on the right, we have the overall drive level. So that's changed by the left button here. There's 3 modes, including a reverse mode. So we have 1, 2, 3. For example, if a 15 kilometer per hour F35 is chosen, drive mode 1 will be 6 kilometers per hour, drive mode 2, 10, and drive mode 3, 15. With the reverse mode, that will be limited to approximately 5 kilometers per hour. And then finally on the display itself, we have the odometer, so the overall distance traveled. And then the light itself is used by just holding on the left button here, and the right button, the long press, turns the device off. There are also some internal settings that can be changed. So the actual base acceleration mode of the device itself, it's in the same menu setting as you would change kilometers to miles per hour. As well as this, you can also change the PIN password, as well as having the pin as a display lock. So when turning on the device, you would have to enter your pin before driving. These are all explained in detail in the owner's manual itself, so I won't go into too much detail on that, but if you have any questions on that, let me know at the end. So regarding ports, the first one, it's not really a port, but a button that's on the tube itself above the USB charging port. And that's because when the F35 is stored for an extended period of time, so around 2 weeks, it will go into a storage mode. And so it's just important to note that in order to wake it up from the storage mode, you need to press this power button, and then the device will turn on as normal. Next, we have underneath that the USB-A port. So that allows someone to charge USB devices with up to 1.5 amp charging current. And then we have a fuse port here underneath. This is a requirement from IATA. So if the user is flying with the F35, the only thing that needs to be done is this cover opened up and the actual fuse taken out. And that just mechanically disconnects the battery, and then it can just be reinstalled upon landing, and the device will just turn right back on as normal. Last thing on the tube is the actual device charging port itself. And there is some modularity there as we're using the same charger as the R20, the Street Jet, and the Attitude Power. So that 2 amp charger. It takes about 2 to 2.5 hours to charge the F35. So then we move on to compatibility. So as mentioned, the F35 is a very versatile wheelchair, especially as we've combined it with the same docking clamps as the F55. So it's compatible to a very wide variety of swing away and fixed front wheelchairs. We have some specific compatibility for wheelchairs that it is compatible, unlike many other devices, to inset and V-shaped frames. We provide clamps for round tube diameters from 19 millimeters all the way up to 30 millimeters. Then there is a separate clamp now, which is new actually, for 32 millimeters. So for example, RGK titanium wheelchairs. We have the bigger diameter 35.5 millimeter docking clamps. We have our Quickie oval tube clamps for helium, nitrum. And then we do have these docking clamps in place, the Kushal, the Progeo, and Terra, as we were using them with the F55. However, one important thing to note is as of launch, those combination agreements are still in progress. So at launch, they won't be on the order form or possible to order specifically for the F35, but they will be coming. As far as compatible front frame widths go, this is measured from the center to the center of the frame tube. We have a minimum of 260 millimeters up to 480 millimeters, so a very wide range. And as far as compatible mounting heights go, so this is measured from the ground to the upper edge of the clamp. The minimum is 249 millimeters all the way up to 370 millimeters. We will have a compatibility guide in the launch pack, as well as order forms for our compatible wheelchairs, which highlight no-go matrices on them for the F35. But just some general no-goes are that anything with less than a 45 millimeter straight section of tube is a no-go, because the 45 millimeters is the minimum needed for the clamp on the wheelchair to be secure. Anything with a 70-degree or less hanger is a no-go, and any wheelchair involving any suspension is also a general no-go. So regarding technical data, I won't read through every single line here, but the important things to highlight are that the motor, despite it being a 6.5-inch wheel, is very compatible, very powerful, 250 watt nominal and a 450 watt max. The battery, 4 amp hours, using those 21700 battery cells, and that's comes to a watt hours of 144, which again is flight friendly. We have a range of up to 15 kilometers. For max speed, there's 3 options, 6, 10, and 15 kilometers per hour. Max user weight is 110. Weights we talked about. For gearing, there's a forward, reverse, and cruise control, as mentioned. We have the very safe and effective twin brake system. The overall display is tube integrated. We already went through the features of the display itself. And as mentioned, we have that modular charger with some other products in our power assist portfolio that provides a 2 amp charging current and approximately 2 to 2.5 hour full charging time. The LED light is also integrated into the tube itself. That's a cold white LED light, and the USB is a USB-A charging port, providing 1 to 1.5 amps of charging. Also important, maybe most important, is the F35 is a fully certified medical device, passed all testing according to EN 12184, and it is also passed full external testing according to this norm at TÜV. And as mentioned, also IATA certified for passenger aircraft traveling. The next slide is the overall benchmark and comparison to the Uniwheel and the Miho MT-06. I'm again not going to go into reading every single step, every single comparison in detail. This is here for reference, but what I want to just highlight here is that the Empulse F35 is the lightest weight with most powerful motor. So when I say that, it's like when we look at the Uniwheel, the actual device itself is lighter. When you look at the transport weight, 5.5 kilograms versus 7.5 kilograms. However, this is done with a lot of compromises as there's no mechanical braking on the Uniwheel. It has a 55% less powered motor. So it's really, this one is really orientated towards that indoor usage, where the F35, with its lightweight design, so the combination of lightweight and power in the motor makes it far more versatile than these other two micro pull devices. The next aspect is the overall premium and safe braking system. So when I go back to that aspect, why they're a bit lighter, both of these are only using that electronical motor brake, whereas the F35 has that, as well as the very powerful mechanical drum brake with the integrated parking brake. We go also here to docking, as that's a big feature as well, is that with that one motion quick docking, it is the most innovative and convenient docking system compared to the Uniwheel and the Miho MT-06. And the last point is that it's the overall electrical features of the F35. So whereas the others are very basic display, like the Uniwheel, yes, it can do reverse gear, but so can the F35, and it's also providing cruise control, acceleration adjustment, estimated remaining kilometers on the display, as well as the overall other electrical features such as a USB charging port. And I just want to highlight the EN 12184 medical device regulation for power assist that is passed. And it also provides a very stable connection to the chair. I have here also the, previously this was red, but the Uniwheel is, as of February 12th, listing themselves as a fully compliant medical device. So don't quite have the leg up on them on that aspect anymore, but the Miho MT-06 is not. And before I move on, I do just want to, as I forgot, want to highlight the max speed, as that may be an argument for the other ones in comparison to the F35, that it doesn't allow a max speed of 20 kilometers per hour. But what we can also see here is that previously when this was done, the Uniwheel had a max speed of 18 and the Miho a max speed of 20 kilometers per hour. Since then, they've actually reduced their max speed. So it's still slightly higher than the F35, but overall with this small wheel size and the motor is actually really providing a lot of acceleration and packs a punch, as mentioned, that there's just no need to travel at that fast of a max speed. It just gets too twitchy and kind of not safe at those very higher speeds. And we can see that with them decreasing or gradually decreasing their max speed offerings as well. So just keep that in mind if that comes up as an argument against the F35. As far as ordering and options go, The Empulse F35 will be distributed by Sunrise Medical Mulch Facility. There's 5 days on-time shipping plus approximately 2 days shipping within the EU. We will be providing bundling, so it can be bundled with manual wheelchairs on the order form for lower taxation rates. And we have here some of the newer options on the F35. I've just added the article number or the option code, as well as the intercompany cost as of this week. So we have a car charging adapter, a very nice smartphone holder. We have an additional charger. We have a lock for the F35. So that, in combination with a display lock, for example, allows the user to be very safe and secure their device wherever they are. And we have the depth stop for the docking tubes. Overall cost and price positioning of the device, we have here the overall total product cost of 594 euros, as mentioned, by far the most cost-effective pull device in our portfolio. And the proposal for price positioning is internally, the F35 should be positioned below the F55, and externally below the F55, but on par or higher than the Una wheel, as the F35 has a lot more electrical features, better motor, better, more versatile performance than that product. And that's at a list price of approximately, depends on the region, around 2,900 euros, between 2,900 and 3,000 euros in Europe. So coming to the end here, just some good to know aspects of the F35. It is not the same docking as the F55. As mentioned, just the clamps on the chair are equal, but the actual whole lifting mechanism and kinematic of the F35 has been redesigned and is patent pending. The optimal angle of the F35 is 80 degrees. This is adjusted via this docking bracket itself. You can move this either fore to aft on the tubing, or you can adjust the screw holes here, when one hole adjustment equates to 2.5 degrees. As far as the speed options go, in the 10 and the 15 kilometer per hour options, they do have slightly more or a higher speed in the reverse gear. So they're approximately 5 kilometer per hour in the reverse gear, whereas with the 6 kilometer per hour option, that one's approximately 4 kilometers per hour in the reverse gear. Forwards, it's all the same. As far as modularity and dealer benefits, there's very easy handling and repair of the F35, and there's just one main SKU for the F35. So the product itself is the same, and just the coupling mechanism is individualized to fit the wheelchair based on the front frame width. So these are available in 10 millimeter increments on the order form. And one important thing to note is that on the order form itself, if the front frame width comes in between one of those 10 millimeter increments, it's best to choose the lower of the front frame width options. We have then also multiple use parts, going back to that modularity benefit. So we have the same charger as the StreetJet R20 and Attitude Power, and the clamps the same as the F55. This means also that the F35 could be a very intriguing complement to an F55 14-inch, for example. A user can have the same clamps on the wheelchair and have a F55 14-inch for more outdoor off-road usage, and then also leave those clamps on the chair and insert a F35 subframe and dock up their F35 for going into the city, for example. A second subframe is also available as a spare part at an affordable price. It's around 45 euros intercompany price, and that allows the F35 to attach to multiple different wheelchairs. So you can have one F35, different wheelchairs, for example, swing away, fixed front, and all you need is the 2 different subframes. One point here, this is the removable battery fuse for air travel. That is just a standard 30 amp mini fuse. You can get this at any hardware store or even grocery stores sometimes. So they're very widely available and cheap in the case that because they are quite small. Just in the case that someone does lose it or falls out of a pocket or something, you can get those basically anywhere. And the last point is to change the speed up or down. So if someone has a 6 and wants to move to a 15, they do need to order a new display, and that needs to be mounted to the handlebar. So I just have here the overall launch campaign schedule here. So the official launch is planned for 27th of May, and most of you guys in the countries have been planning a launch around mid-June and into July. We have over here the pre-launch aspect. So training I have ticked off for today. The sales samples have been shipped out in a sense to some of the countries and are being shipped out this week for all those that haven't got them. Launch pack release, owner's manual. The one thing is pending that will be finalized next week, latest, so early next week, is the official CE to be signed. So with that, I would first open it up to any questions and then let Anne carry on with the overall launch pack overview.
Thank you very much, Alex. So I have no open questions in the question tool, but I will now give everyone the availability to unmute themselves. So if there are any questions or comments, please feel free.
Hi, Alex. It's Marco from Italy. Sorry, did I interrupt someone? Okay. I have two questions for you. So
yes.
From the beginning, when at first has been presented to us as a project by Peter, our concern was about the distance between the handbar and the user. And we ask it many times because from our experience, the adjustability of the handbar in F35 indeed allow to bring the handbar closer to the user and give him a more comfortable position during the drive. Instead, with F35 being a super smart device, we love it. It has a very beautiful design and all the accessories that are needed. So I don't want to be criticized, but just to know something more. And our concern still seeing the position of the handbar, that if we watch it from the side, it seems quite far from the user.
Okay, I agree that in a sense it is overall doesn't have the adjustability range as the F55, for example, with that stem that allows you to really position the handlebar where you want. That's a bit of a sacrifice with having that integrated and super lightweight design. The one thing I would say is that if we go back to here, for example, there is some adjustment there with the F35. So I don't know how much you've played around with that, but as mentioned with that subframe itself, you can, for example, position it slightly backwards so that it's more on the handlebars are coming closer to the end user. And of course, you have to keep in mind that the optimal angle is with 80 degrees. So in doing that,
yes,
you will, in the end, lose some traction. But you can also then compensate that somewhat by using these screw adjustments. So if you're then doing that in combination with lowering those screws, you're compensating a bit for the overall head angle in a sense of the F35 to try and it may take a little bit of experimentation of how far can you go back and with in combination with those screw adjustments, whether you can get a balance of traction and a appropriate reach adjustment. But that's what I would suggest you try. Obviously, the other option is the other thing is getting the F35 device itself fully inserted as far as it can go into the docking clamps to still allow an easy or clearance with the knees. But those are my suggestions at the moment.
But did you have the chance to try it?
Try what? Sorry.
F35.
Yes.
Okay, and so when you drive it, your back is close to the backrest, or do you have to bend forward to drive it?
I don't at all, but that's a very, like, it's totally also dependent on core stability and the length of your arms. So of course, if you have an end user that has shorter arms, it may be not as suitable as, for example, an F35 that has that really longer range of reach adjustment. The other aspect, though, I would say is that the F35 isn't also designed for the really long tours, so to say. So it is kind of like a very versatile get in, go quick distances to places. So I think from that sense, also, the end user isn't going to be driving 15 kilometers straight in one direction, for example. So it is a more of a shorter distance design. But the aspect I would definitely try, and you can let me know how it goes. I'll also do it on my device here to see how much closer I can get it to myself while maintaining front end traction, because there is some adjustability there for the reach.
Okay, and if I'm not wrong, is not illustrated in the presentation how the swing away system is compared to the front fix wheelchair. Does it keep because some competitors in the past show that in the swing away combination, the devices was between the foot plate and the seat of the chair. So internally.
With our swing away version, it's dependent on the swing away chair it will be mounted to specifically. And again, this will come like on those specific order forms. There will be like a no-go matrix of which measurements you can choose to be dependent on combined with the F35. But the actual way it's mounted on each swing away chair, I could get that and prepare that for you. For example, I don't have that in the presentation, but I could add it to it. But it is varying. It depends on which swing away chair you're adding it to. So it's not the exact same for everyone.
Okay, but does it goes outside the chair or between the foot plate and the seat?
It goes on the actual main frame of the chair itself.
Yes, but the device is between the foot plate and the seat of the chair, or is in front of the foot plate?
In front.
It's in front of the foot plate.
Okay. No, because some competitors in the past showed to use this device, mounting it between the foot plate and the seat of the chair. So it was very.
I couldn't even imagine that in my head, really.
Yes, it's a bit weird indeed. Yes.
But no, it is not like that. No.
Okay. The handbar is adjustable in height?
No, it is not.
Okay. And last question. And do we have accessories, a bag to transport it?
At the moment, no. It's I've gotten some feedback on that. It's maybe something we can think about adding, but at the moment it wasn't in the scope and is not a part of it. The only aspect I maybe have to come back to you guys and the other markets about how much that would be used. I assume it would be a rather costly bag in the sense that it isn't a larger device. So at the moment at launch, there will be no bag, but that's something we can discuss.
Okay, last things, being close to the launch of other Empulse device, is it planned to have a training in Germany, seeing all the device and trying to mount it and trying them outside and so on, or just we'll have just online presentation like this one as training?
There's nothing set at the moment, but my preference would be to have a overall hands-on training, but it would be because of all, like you mentioned, the other two that are coming, the R90 and the M90. The preference would be that we have enough of those devices and chairs with us so that we can then do those two basically together in a sense and have that in person to really highlight the R90 and the M90.
Yes, of course.
And then kind of have the F35 there also as maybe a refresher, as most of everyone will have had their samples and been able to play around with it and get acquainted to the F35. But that will be my preference. I will talk with Kroner and see if we can arrange that later on in the summer once we ourselves get more of those devices.
Thank you very much, Alex.
Thank you.
Oh, Alex, it's Yvonne from Netherlands. I have a question about the lost sensors on this page. To change the speed up and down, a new display must be ordered and mounted on the handlebar. So it will not be in the sleek design anymore, but it will be a display like the F55 and placed on the handlebar.
No. I meant maybe that was confusing how I meant it. So, for example, if you order the 15 kph option on the order form, the display covers 6 kilometers, 10 kilometers, and 15 kilometers. So when you press the button 3 times, you have your 3 speed modes. With 10, it's then 6, 8, and 10. And with 6 kilometers per hour option, it's then 4, 5, and 6. If someone chooses that 6 kilometer per hour option, so they have a 4, 5, 6 device, and they want then to go 15 kilometers per hour, they need to order a different display, which is, it's the same display, it just has to be unscrewed, plugged out, and the new one inserted in. So
so it's also in the tube, because
yes,
on the slide it's mounted on the handlebar. I thought, oh, that would be ugly.
No, it looks the exact same. It just needs to be ordered new and inserted. Super easy to do.
Not a problem. Then another question for serviceability. Is it possible to change the battery, for example, or?
Yes, it is. At the moment, there's no service video or something, but it's something I'm now taking on to put that in place, to have the service instructions basically and a service video, because it is not hard to do. You don't need to reroute cables or anything like that. You can open up the tube and basically just pull out the battery itself, unplug it, reinsert a new one, and plug it all in. All the connectors are also like foolproof basically, so you like can't connect anything in the wrong way. They all match up differently. So it's very easy to replace a battery on the F35.
Okay, that sounds great. A service video will be appreciated, because we will be
that won't be available at launch, but it wasn't done since I've been taking over. But I think it is needed, like service video for changing motor assembly, battery, display, for example. I think that's all needed.
Yeah. And you were talking about the mounting overview for per wheelchair, where to mount it, and I think that's much appreciated, because that's something that we actually missing with the F55. So if you can manage something, that would be very nice.
Yeah, I'll add that to like the service video aspect. Yeah.
Okay. And the no-go for the 70-degree leg rest, is that also applicable to the F55? Because I wasn't aware of that.
That is also for F55. Yeah.
Okay. I think our dealers are also mounting it with 70 degrees leg rest.
I mean, like we have to say that, like, it's because of the angle of like how, like if it's too slack of an angle, the clamps won't be appropriately be able to be tightened on that. You know what I mean?
Okay, I will find our documentation and see if it's in there.
Yeah, do that, please.
And the combination agreement, we had a exhibition 2 weeks ago, and we spoke to the Infocare product manager, and she said she really wants combination agreement. So if we can help somewhere with that.
Yes, you can, because
she's eager to sign.
Like I said, I've jumped in a bit, and I don't know always the contacts of who to contact for power assist devices. So send me the contact. I will reach out to them.
Okay, we'll do so.
All right, so if there are no open questions, I will hand it over to Anne for the launch pack.
Do I need to change presenter, Darlene, or do you?
I'm just trying to do it. Yeah, I managed it. We can see your screen. Anna, you're just on mute.
And I think you're still on mute.
Give us just 1 second. Trying to sort it out. Oh, now it should work.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
That sounds better, right? So, okay, we are running super late. So what do you see? You see the launchpad screen, or which screen do you see?
Launchpad
Nothing.
screen. Launchpad
Yeah.
screen.
That's good, that's good, that's good. Sorry. Okay, still a launchpad? Okay, sorry. Okay, I just tried to make it super quick. We're already late, and so yes, to be fair, we haven't released the full launch pack yet. We're just waiting for the approval of 2 assets, but I think you should have got the email, or at least the marketing team should have got the email about that most of the assets are already on Dice and that you can start. So just a quick one. Just to keep everyone on the same page with the key messages. So in our marketing assets, we use the key message, which have been created around the challenges that users are facing when having traditional bulk devices, or more bulky pull devices, or even no pull device. So bulky pull devices, as you can saw, like maybe from the dimension like a street jet that can restrict motion, or when you have pull devices that are super bulky and do not really look good, it can highlight the disability, but also the weight, and big dimensions can complicate the loading and the transportation. Docking and undocking can be awkward and time consuming, in particular in urban environments where you want to go like the last mile, so you want to keep that as effortless as possible. And of course, it also limits your motion and freedom or your mobility and freedom, sorry, in case your pull device is not suitable for traveling. And of course, and that's not targeted only to an F35, but to pull devices or power assist devices in general. Safety concerns can arise, of course, when you have a non-compliant product with the European standards. And also a general key message is that manual wheelchair propulsion can cause physical fatigue and also limit your mobility, which is why a pull device can support here. When we had the discussion with the key markets about what are the key enablers, there were kind of 2 things that they said. So the first is, okay, we want to start early because it's an unknown market, and we want to understand positioning in the portfolio, want to create buzz in an early stage, create excitement and anticipation in an early stage. So the first part of the key enablers were to provide samples for early visits, start showing the product to customers, to dealers, but also on trade shows, or for example, Germany had the mobility days. From a marketing perspective, we provide marketing material, teaser campaign, like a teaser launch mail, a teaser landing page. And in regards of, okay, understand the positioning in the portfolio, and I think that was done quite well with this training already. You have a state presentation, you also have the playbook and the battle card, which will cover these topics, also the SMA. And as well, we also provide education and motion content. So there will be 2 resources, which, as said, not only about the F35, but about our Power Assist portfolio in general, where you can have an aid that helps you to understand which is the best manual Power Assist device for each user. So as you have seen at the beginning of the presentation, all the products have their pros and cons, and it's just picking the right for the individual need. But also a resource on preserving the upper limb function. On the second side, or on the let's say more general, you of course get brochures, flyers, social media campaign, a press release, and an email campaign, and to make, let's say, ease of doing business for the dealer, compatibility guides. We have service videos already, not the one about the battery, but we have service videos already, and of course the bundling with the menu widgets. Another thing on the launch campaign, which I would like to mention, is yes, we start with the teaser campaign. In regards of the launch, we are going to communicate the launch on the group website with a press release. We're gonna hopefully release the launch pack. I'd like to do it today. I'm just pending, I said, 2 approvals. We're gonna have a communication on social media, which also will be continued during the post-launch phase. There will be minimum like 1 post per week, but as you have seen with the other launches, we have to balance it a little bit with the launches of the R90 and M90. We're gonna have user-generated content. So you see the image of Maria on the right-hand side. She will get her own F35 and will create additional content for us, like a video or additional images, so that we can start much sooner with the user-generated content than we did in the past. And as well, there will be a you may or may not have heard, we also work on a more Empulse branding campaign in the post-launch phase. So we targeted for reha care, which includes the F35 and R90 and M90, and this is planned to connect with the riders on a more human and emotional level. And it's the story about getting more out of their mobility device. So this just as a heads up. So, and now I'm just clicking through. I think at least the marketing teams know the content already quite well. I've presented it in the global marketing call, but for the rest who do not know it yet. So this is the look and feel of the teaser campaign. So you have teaser emails, a teaser landing page highlighting the key features, a splash image, various social media posts. You're going to have a product page, of course, which is already set up in Kentico and ready for translation. Order form, a compatibility guide, like you already know them from the other Empulse products. Different technical images. We have the fixed front and also swing away chairs to show the diversity. You have a range of lifestyle images, the brochure in a new look and feel, but we again use these kind of outline graphics that you already know from the F55 and our other Empulse brands, so that we remain in the Empulse design language. Again, another request that we got was to create step-by-step mounting docking instructions. So that's targeting the end users so that they really can see how easy it is to dock and undock the product. You have an hang tag, which is you know that from the F55, so it's mounted on the, or mounted, probably wrong. It's attached to the handlebar, and you have the QR code that leads to different videos about the docking, and also about what needs to be done when you want to make the F35 travel ready. You have various posters, pull-up banners, MS Teams backgrounds, video content. So you have a long lifestyle video, which is embedded on the product page, and we have different clips for social media, highlighting the social aspects, but also the lightweight design, the quick docking, the drive modes, and what we call challenging situations. So as you have heard, the F35 is super maneuverable, and this is we have dedicated a social media clip for that as well. As said, different instructional videos how to use the handlebar, or the features or the options on the handlebar, how to adapt to wheelchair, charger, cruise control, drive settings, flight preparation, the docking, the parking brake, and what we call the quick docking. All of them are already, or the translation, the instructional videos are available on Canva for translations already, and also we did send out the translation sheet for the lifestyle video. So please liaise with May from the UK team if you want to get the video translated. And then, email and press release. You're gonna get a playbook and a battle card, a really good tool for the sales team to understand how to encounter maybe negative comments and what to highlight for the F35 compared to the competition. The educational motion content that I've just mentioned, it's already in DICE, and of course you can use it for internal usage. I'd like you to not. I mean, it's going to be scheduled and released by the education motion team anyway, or the but please don't release it, because it already includes the R90, so it's for internal use at the moment first. Social media, you also get bundling order forms. So of course the F35 can be bundled, as Alex said, with our menu wheelchairs, and you get the updated order form for that as well, of course. We decided to include the R90 in the bundling or in the updated order forms already, just because the launches are so close together, and this is also one of the things which are just under review at the moment before we can release. Training and the sales presentation, of course, will also be uploaded, and that's it. So any questions on that? So then I would hand over to Darlene, and then you maybe can just, as a finish for this meeting, we can share the video, and then that would it be from my side then.
Thank you very much, Anne. So thank you all for joining. Thanks to Alex and Anne for the presentation. I'm really looking forward for the launch. The webinar is recorded. We will load it to DICE, and we will also share it with the distribution list of the product training. And as said, to end this call, I will share our lifestyle video with you. So here we are. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.